All right, here we go. Brandon, you gonna start this thing up?
All right.
Start it up at the show. Stand, running for cover. Go. Sir, that sounds incredible.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Just so crisp. I think my favorite way to explain just inline six sounds,
Yes.
right? It's just, there's a crispness to it. It's interesting because we don't really get to hear that many NA RVs. I mean, normally when you pop the hood on a car like this and you see the valve cover, you expect a big snail or two big snails,
Yeah.
right? We're at the SEMA show, the 2021 SEMA show. And as always, every SEMA show, you know, I try my best to get my favorite builds, not necessarily the best builds. So that's why a lot of times I'm featuring cars that may not have that much done to it, but a lot of them have a really cool story. And I think this one has a really cool story and it looks amazing. Rob from Z Car Garage, I know you're not a big fan of Z31s, but this one is a really, really nice Z31, done very tastefully. We have the owner slash builder, Brandon Miller here.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. This is your first SEMA show.
Correct, yeah.
And this is the first time you've been to Vegas.
Yeah, first time west of Louisiana.
Wow.
So.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Brought a very, very beautiful build. Can you walk us a little bit through your, I guess, mindset and your build plan? Because this wasn't just like a 3-week build. Like, so that was a 3-week build. How long did it take for you to build this?
So it's literally 4 years this week. From the moment I bought the motor, I bought the car about a month after that. The inspiration for it was the 240Z Z432. So I wanted to create a resto mod version of a Z31 based on a Z432R.
Where did you actually start with this? Was it a pretty good stock vehicle?
Yeah, so I've built a couple of cars that haven't gained as much notoriety as this, but I learned over the years to start with the best car you possibly can, especially for something like this that's so rare, because the little trim and the rubber and stuff, that's the kind of stuff that will eat your budget, and it's really difficult to find. So this car had 56,000 original miles, no rust, and it was just a really, really clean car.
And then while a lot of people will probably cry foul for you ruining a car.
I haven't gotten that.
Yeah.
But it was a non-turbo automatic.
Yeah, but you made it something greater, right?
I appreciate that.
And it's incredible. Of course, it's in the really exclusive Toyo Tread Pass. All of the best builds, I think, of our generation are here in the Toyo Tread Pass. So it's cool to see it here. Walk me through some of the steps here. Did you take it down to bare metal?
Yeah, the whole car's been taken down to bare metal. And then the painter, he fully shaved the engine bay. He silicone bronze stitch welded all the seams, got rid of all the irregular shaped metal, welded in new metal and all that stuff. So really just wanted to be as clean as possible and just, smooth, but there's not a whole lot of filler in it. So the painter did an amazing job. Seamus from Concept Color, he's actually here at SEMA, so I hope he comes by later today, but the paint is just remarkable.
Yeah, the paint is glass. It's super nice. What's the actual name of this?
It's Safari Gold.
Okay.
So it's the original Cusco GTR 240Z Sunny B210 color. Mm-hmm. And my dad's got 5 240Zs, immaculate concourse cars. So the first one that he got that we restored together, it was Safari Gold. He wanted to paint it silver, and I liked the color so much, I talked him into keeping it. So it's always been my favorite Z color.
Tell me about your engine choice.
So originally I was going to do an L series. So I wanted it to be like a 240Z, and then when I priced out how much it was going to be to build a 300 plus horsepower L series, I kind of got sticker shock. I then was leaning towards like an RB20 or an RB25, and my friends at Japan Parts Service, which is a sister company to Japanese Classics, I went over to see what their inventory was, and they had an RB28DE non-turbo with long tube headers, and as soon as I saw it, I knew that that was the engine. So that's how it started, with an RB25DE non-turbo.
How many liters is this?
So it's a 2.8 something liter. What we did is we bored and stroked it. So it's got a Nitto 77.7 millimeter crank and H-beam rods. We have a RB26 head on it, and my machinist, he modified the combustion chamber, got rid of the quench pads. We took a mold of the chamber, sent it to CP, and they made custom pistons, 11.6 to 1, so a little bit high compression. And then, all the headwork, port and polish, to make cams, super tech valves, so everything has been done internally. So it's about 2.85 liter, I think. I don't know the exact. So it's around there.
And then have you had a chance to dyno this?
250 at the tire on pump gas, not quite as much as I had hoped, but it's a 2,800 pound car. So I mean, it gets up and goes. We're hoping that on ethanol with some increased cam timing, we could maybe get 275 at the tire, which I think would be pretty good. But it's obvious to me now that naturally aspirated RBs just don't make much power. It's really near impossible to do it, to make a lot of power.
Well, part of it is that because I guess this specifically was never designed to be an NA engine, right?
Well, I mean, the 26, correct, was never meant to be NA, so.
I mean, because the Toyota 2J, right? They actually had the Supra as a NA. It came out in so many cars, NA, right? And then you potentially could get a little more literage than 3 liters out of those for some NA builds. So you can make some more power, but this already, you're like pushing it.
Yeah, I think so.
In terms of...
And now I've heard that people can make in excess of 350. I don't know what they're doing on race gas, but I think they're running like 13 to 1 or something. My tuner did say that we could probably increase the compression to about 12.5 to 1. I would say it's possible that this motor could see 300, but we'd have to take it apart and kind of start all over.
But that's not really the point of this vehicle,
no,
right? The point is like you're building based on your inspiration.
That's
and
right.
You're also, it's like a balance, right? But this also revs to the moon, huh?
Yeah, I've had it up to 9,100. I was told it could go to 12. But it doesn't make power after about 86, 87. So, I don't know if I'll ever see anything past 10.
9,000 RPM inline 6. I mean, it sounds so throaty and crisp. I mean, there's just no other way to explain it. In person, I mean, you guys heard it on the video. It sounds amazing there. Outside of the performance stuff, you've done a lot of aesthetic things to the engine too, right? So like, how did you do all that stuff?
So my painter, the concept color, he did the igniter delete. So he welded a piece of aluminum in there, and then he made a piece to fill the intercooler gap and match this.
Amazing.
So really wanted it to just be clean, look factory, and just be a mirror image of each side. I like aesthetic and balance and things like that. So
I love the velocity stacks.
Those and the titanium header, I think, are the biggest showstoppers of this car. HN Engineering did those carbon Kevlar velocity stacks. I reached out to a number of companies to try and get it, and the prices were just out of this world. And somebody put me in touch with him, and he agreed to try it out. He made 30 to get 6.
Wow.
But he honored his original quote. Now, I know that if he ever did another set, he would charge quite a bit more, but...
That's incredible. Tell me about the headers. This is a work of art, really.
Yeah, Billy Freed of Freed Engineering in Maryland, he did all the fabrication of the exhaust. So that's a full titanium header, full titanium exhaust. And, the inspiration was your O.S. Geiken style.
So are these equal length?
No, they're not equal length. He had mentioned something about trying to get them in firing order, but he was not able to make them equal. I think they're fairly close, though.
It just sounds so good.
And that was the goal, is the rev response and the sound. My daily driver is a twin-turbo AMG wagon that makes 720 foot-pounds of torque, but I wanted something I could drive on the street and use all the horsepower and just be able to enjoy it on the back roads and have fun.
Tell me what you had to do with the cooling system to make this all work.
So yeah, Billy also made all the cooling system. He did the coolant pipes, he did the swirl pot. So, based upon his experience, I just kind of gave him free rein to do what he wanted. One of my favorite parts is this. This is the power steering reservoir.
Oh, wow. So it's like body match.
So he made it to fit that little notch in the radiator support, and I asked him to do a swan neck, and then he dimple pressed that to match this, the circle to match that.
Whoa. It's just like little details like this. So it's like you got a little dimple there, just so it's aesthetically pleasing.
And that was the big thing. We wanted to hide everything, And so he originally put a canister here, He was at the end of the job. He was tired. He made that, and I asked him to remake this, and I know he was kind of huffing and puffing, but after he was done, he loved it, and I think it's one of the proudest things he's made. He also made that titanium VIN plate. The coating has all been matched. So it's got an R34 GTS 5-speed transmission in it and an Infinity J30 diff. Wow. So we decoded all that and put that in there. It's got the correct color code and all that stuff. And that was the cover for the access to the wiper linkage. And I was like, what else can I do to make something for a cover that's cool? And we didn't have a VIN plate anymore, so I asked him to do that, and he did that as a gift.
So the Z31, one of my favorite parts about it is the pop-up headlights.
Yep.
You know, the front end is so pretty looking. What else have you done to the front? You have this splitter here?
The front lip is the only aftermarket part that's on the car. There was a trim strip that's really ugly. I don't know why they did it. That bulges out here. So my painter bonded it to the body and sanded it smooth. And then we shaved the US side markers and the rear trim. He shaved the antenna. And the coolest part about the body that very few people notice is he cut the rear bumper into 7 pieces.
Whoa.
Section shortened it and shaved it. So it's 3 inches shorter than the factory bumper.
Oh.
So we wanted it to look more like a GTR bumper, the profile. Right. You know, because the Z31, I mean, it was literally out to here.
That's kind of one of the things where you look at it and it's not quite right, but you can't quite put your finger on it.
Yeah.
But he did a really, really good job with that.
Billy did the full titanium exhaust, and I had him burn the tips gold too.
And then is this?
That's factory.
This is factory, yep. But it's just painted?
That's correct, yeah. So this trim this is the factory 87 to 89 trim color. So I found NOS T-tops and NOS door handles, and then we matched the color as close as we could. It just so happens that the Watanabes almost look the same color. So I think the color scheme really fits the car well, and the valve cover is also matched to the trim.
So tell me about the wheel and tire setup here.
Yep, so those are Watanabe R-type, 16 by 8 in the front, 8.5 in the rear. And then we've got Techno Toy tuning, front suspension, and big brake kit. We got Feel coilovers. It's got a 240SX rear subframe. And then Part Shop Max control arms, drop spindles, Infinity J30 diff. And then we got the Toyo R1Rs.
It is kind of incredible how well it sits. Did you have to do a lot to get it to
Yeah, he
sit
rolled
like
the
this?
fenders, and we really had to work on the suspension. The brake clearance was a nightmare back here. So we had to run 7mm spacers, and then we had to bring the control arms as far in as we could, and then we ended up with a little bit more negative camber than I would have liked, but you know, everything does clear.
So what do you plan on doing with this car?
I'm gonna just drive it on the street on nice days. So I've got a couple of cars, and this is just gonna be my, perfect weather, get out and just have some fun. It's got no stereo, no AC, so it's just a pure driving experience.
Please just rev it to 12,000 RPM when you're driving it and just enjoy the sound. It really surprised me when you stepped on the brakes.
The LEDs, yeah, those are Dapper. So when they made those LED boards, I was blown away, and they're so cool because they're sequential.
I love the louvers too. It's like subtle.
Yeah.
Versus just having them on the outside.
So these are eBay $100 universal louvers. I found a set of original ones in Japan, but they were just too expensive.
But I mean, it actually looks, period. It
I
looks
know.
good.
I love it.
Right.
I had to have the louvers.
So this is the thing that a lot of people probably don't really understand. One of the things that you mentioned earlier is that you have to start with a very clean car. And part of it is because I'm guessing a lot of this plastic and dash and a lot of these trim pieces were pretty good condition, huh?
Yeah, this is all the factory stuff except for the carpet, mats, steering wheel and cluster and seats. But Imperial Mats, they make JDM floor mats, and so they agreed to do a one-off set for me, and now they're gonna be selling those. I kept the stock shift knob from a Z31 stock boot, even though it's on an R34 transmission, and had to keep the stock radio, stock HVAC, all that kind of stuff.
Does all of that stuff work?
The heater blower motor doesn't work. I'm not sure why exactly. The radio would work, but we got rid of the speakers.
And then what about all this rubber? That's
the original rubber.
It feels really good.
Yeah, the car was in amazing shape.
Huh.
I was actually the first person to ever register the car. It had been in dealer inventory since 1986.
Tell me about the seats.
Yeah, I chose these seats obviously because the carbon Kevlar, and I liked the gradient fabric. If you're familiar with the Z31 Shiro, they came with Recaro gradient seats, so I really wanted to kind of have that look.
I love that it's just two things on the car matching. You got the back of the seats, and then velocity stacks.
And luckily, number 7 Racing stopped by yesterday. They like this car so much, they agreed to do a carbon Kevlar steering wheel for me.
No way.
Yeah.
And the rear, all of that carpet is new?
Yep. And then we've got a Cusco rear strut bar.
Engine management, you went with Haltech?
Yeah, it's Haltech 2500, all Haltech sensors, and then the Haltech IC7 display. And Mako Motorsports in Australia made that cluster insert, so they prototyped that for me, and now they sell it for all Z31 owners.
So this dash too, stock, right?
Stock, yep.
Huh. Incredible.
I found this brand new in the box on, I used to search every day in Japan and in the US, and I got lucky and found a brand new in the box console cover. It's crazy. I mean, you can't find these parts. I got NOS fog lights and NOS Euro turn signals, which are the hands down rarest part you could ever find for a Z31. I bought every single NOS fog light I've ever found, so I have 5 new fog lights.
Of these?
Yeah, because they get cracked.
You better wrap them.
I know. They sell for like $200 a piece used.
Right.
With pits. So.
What an incredible build. Thank you so much for showing
No,
this
thank
to
you
us.
for taking the interest.
So, unfortunately, Brandon has to go early, but we're going to be able to pull this out just around the show, and then we're going to do a full shoot with it. Just such a clean build, and what a great idea.
I really appreciate that.
Because, I mean, it's amazing to me that it fits so perfectly. I mean, because it was never meant for an inline 6, it was meant for a
in
V6.
Japan, they came with an RB20.
Oh,
So
I
it's
didn't
the
know that.
200ZR. So I used a factory cross-member engine mounts. I had to find those from Japan. But yeah, you can put, I mean, they came factory with an RB20.
Yeah, and because I see, like, for example, a lot of people swap this into the Z32 for whatever reason, right? Just because I guess, you know, they don't really like PGs so much. And these are probably easier to work on. But I've never really seen people build up Z31s here in the States.
You know, they're really popular in Japan, but you know, the US, it just doesn't have the same appreciation for them. So all the best builds I follow are all in Japan, and there's some remarkable cars over there.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. This thing is awesome.
I really appreciate it.
I have to give you the ceremonial. I have to give you some stickers.
Awesome.
Been giving these out a lot, and it's just awesome to see all the people that watch Autofocus that come to see me. So thank you so much.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. If you guys want some of your own, I give them out with my print sales. You just go to LarryChenPrints.com. Thanks for watching.